What is going on, YouTube? This is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles, and welcome back to another video. Today we're here for the top 10 most expensive Copper Age comics of all time. But before we get into that video, guys, like always, I'm going to ask you, if you're not a current subscriber of the channel and have been enjoying some of my content, do me a favor, go ahead and click the subscribe button for me. You will not regret it. Smash that like button on the way out because it does help the channel out, and of course, make sure you turn on the notification bell because it lets you guys know when I post new videos. So we're here for Copper Age comics and of the 10 most expensive of all time. I believe that the Copper Age of comics is probably one of the most popular ages out there. I think there are a lot of affordable books out there for all ages, all genres of collecting, and I think a lot of the collectors out there probably grew up in that time range as well. So we're going to start though with an honorable mention, believe it or not. An honorable mention because there are a lot of obscure books on this list, believe it or not. A lot of books that you probably heard of but probably don't see too often out in the wild. So the honorable mention is Raphael #1, the first appearance of Casey Jones. This book was published in 1985 and you can have a copy for $420. That's right, that was the last sale in June 2022, believe it or not. Everything TMNT was super hot maybe about a year ago. Things seem to have cooled off right now. So if you want a copy of this book, I believe now's a decent time to buy one. At the 10th spot is a copy of Evil Ernie #1. This book, of course, is the first appearance of Lady Death and was published in 1991. The last sale on this book for a 9.0 grade was $599, believe it or not. I think I've seen this book maybe once at my LCS, and that was it. I haven't seen it outside in the wild ever. So if you come across a copy or even own a copy, you may want to check out how expensive this book is. At the 9th spot is a book I really have never heard of before. It is a copy of Caliber Presents #6. This book was published in 1989, and believe me, this is the first appearance of The Crow. The last sale for a 9.0 copy was back in April of this year for a whopping $600. I am shocked that the first appearance of The Crow is only $600. Again, a book I have never heard of before. I've never seen out in the wild. I haven't even seen it at a show. Drop me comments down below. Let me know what you think of this book, if anybody you know owns it, or if you've even seen it before. I'm always interested to hear what you guys have to say. At number 8 on this list is a copy of Malibu Sun #8 and the first appearance of Evil Ernie. This book was published in 1991 and you can have yourself a 9.0 copy that just sold June of this year for $650. The first appearance of Evil Ernie comes in at number 8 on the list, and believe it or not, the first in his own title came out in number 10 on this list. This must be a pretty popular character. I've heard of the character before. I've never owned any of his books, never read anything about the character. So again, drop me comments down below. Tell me everything you know about this character and if it is important as where it belongs on this list. At number 7 on this list is a copy of Amazing Spider-Man #300, the first appearance of Venom. Now we have a book that I think everybody out there knows, I think everybody out there wants in their collection. This book was published in 1988 and a 9.0 copy of this book couldn't be had this year, June 2022, for $850. Not bad for a major Copper Age key. I was actually shocked to find it only number 7 on this list for just this popular book. Whenever I talk about these Copper Age books though, at least I thought, this book, there are so many copies out there to be had. So you really have to stick, in my opinion, to a 9.2 or higher if you want to buy it, just for the fact that there's so many copies. There are people would argue out there that you even have to go even higher. I'm okay with the 9.2, so that's where I'd be buying it. At number 6 on this list is a copy of The Crow #1 and the second appearance of The Crow. Now, somebody please got to explain to me how the second appearance of The Crow is more expensive than the first appearance of The Crow. I got to know this. Regardless, this book was published in 1989 and a 9.0 copy in April of this year just sold for $1,250. That is a monster sale for this character. I've been saying it for years that I thought they should have remade that movie. People out there were probably screaming at me because that movie was classic. But again, I think they need to use this character going forward somewhere. Very, very popular character. Nice book to have if you could find it in high grade, but it is a super scarce out there to find the first print of this book. If you have it, do yourself a favor, pat yourself on the back. You did a great job picking this book up when you did. At number 5 in this list is a copy of Bone #1, the first appearance of Phony Bone, and Smiley Bone. Again, characters I'm not really familiar with. I knew they were supposed to do something with this book, Bone number 1. I think it was optioned for something, but it never came to fruition. This book was published in 1991 in a 9.0 copy, just sold April of this year for $3,600. That is a whopping price for this book. Again, I know a book that is really scarce. I was shocked to see how many scarce books are actually made the top 10 of this list, guys. Again, I don't see many of these books that often. I know somebody who actually has a copy of this book, and I have seen it a few times at a few shows. But again, if you own this book, pat yourself on the back. Another monster pickup from the Copper Age. At number 4 on this list is a copy of Albedo number 2, the first appearance of Usagi Yojimbo, if I said that correctly. And guess what? This book was published in 1984, and a 9.0 copy of this book just sold this month, June 2022, for $6,212. Another character that was optioned by Netflix. I believe that show actually already came out. It wasn't, advertised, wasn't done anything. I believe you could find it on Netflix right now, if I'm not mistaken. But because nobody pushed it, nobody said anything about it, this book really didn't get the push it deserved from that character. Regardless, a monster expensive key from the Copper Age, and a super scarce one at that. Again, I know a few people who own copies of this book out there in the Instagram and YouTube community. A monster key I think will keep going up as more people become familiar with this character. At number 3 on this list is this book I thought would be number 1, and it is not. It is a copy of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 1, the first appearance, of course, the 4 Turtles, Splinter, and everybody else we love about these characters. This book was published in 1984, and the last sale at a 9.0 just happened this month for a whopping $26,705. I believe I know somebody who just picked up a copy of this book. They did an awesome job picking it up. I was shocked that this book wasn't number 1, like I said. I knew it was a crazy expensive for a high-grade copy. I believe there was only 3,000 first prints that were printed. So again, shocked to find it only at number 3. A monster key, guys. If you guys own this book, congratulations. I would not be selling this one. I'd be hanging on to it for a long time, because you never know where this book is going to go. At the 2 spot is a copy of Gobbledygook number 2. This book was published in 1984, and this has an ad for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 1. I believe this book was also done by Kevin Eastman as well, and last sale was June of this year again for a whopping $12,000. Now let me give you a little bit of info about this book. This was a file copy of Kevin Eastman, but GPA didn't list any other copies for sale that weren't file copies that I could find. So this book, while being extremely scarce, guys, is really expensive. I don't know anybody who owns a copy. I've never seen a copy anywhere. If you know someone who owns a copy of Gobbledygook number 2, drop me comments down below. Let me know what they paid for it. And at the top spot, guys, is, guess what? Gobbledygook number 1. This book was also published in 1984, and again has an ad for TMNT number 1. And a file copy again from Kevin Eastman, signed by the man himself, just sold last year for a whopping $38,400. Amazing, guys. Now we have almost a $40,000 book from the Copper Age that is a file copy that no one has ever seen before. Now, some people will come out and say to me, why are you including books like this or are file copies on this list? Hey, one thing I could have added on this list that I didn't were like books that were not from the USA. I didn't want to do that because I didn't think it was fair, because I don't think most people in the US have access to those books. Regardless, this is a monster sale for a book that I think nobody probably will ever own outside of the very few out there who've gotten copies out there. Regardless, let me know what you think of this list, guys. A lot of unbelievable unknown keys appear in the Copper Age. I figured we'd see a copy of Amazing Spider-Man 252, maybe, an X-Men 266. I don't know. I figured TMNT was definitely going to be number 1, and it wasn't, and I was shocked. With that said, guys, this is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles saying thank you for watching. If you haven't checked out my Silver Age version of this list or my Bronze Age version of this list, I will drop links at the end of this video so you guys can check them out. I will talk to you guys soon.